What's up, guys? Welcome back to That's What's All Stout. I'm your host, Greg. Now the season has turned to fall. There's a crisp chill in the air. There's a little bit of frost on the pumpkin. And that means it's time for great seasonal beers. Today on That's What's All Stout, we're gonna take a look through 4 pumpkin ales and let you know which is the best pumpkin ale. Not only are we gonna review the best pumpkin ale overall, but I'm going to be giving out the award for most fall beer. That means it includes cinnamon, it includes spices, it includes pumpkin, everything coming together to make it fall. So which beer is going to be the best pumpkin ale overall, and which is going to be the most fall? I'll let you know on That's What's All Stout. Now all these beers are pretty available. They're all staple seasonal pumpkin beers, but they do only run mostly through September through November. So if you're looking to get some of these pumpkin ales, better get them soon. So let's take a look through what we have. So first we have Shipyard's Pumpkin Head. Then we have Whole Hog Pumpkin Ale, Schlafly Pumpkin Ale, and the Brooklyn Brewery Post Road. So let's crack them open and give them a taste. We got the beers open, you can see just varying the types of colors that we have over here. Shipyard being very light, almost like an apple juice. The Post Road, kind of that amberish color, then getting darker in the center over here. Schlafly being the darkest overall. Alright, so I'm not going to go in any particular order, I'm just going to kind of work down the way over here. So let's try first the Shipyard. This is Pumpkin Head. So on the nose, I was getting a little bit of some cinnamon, some spices. The taste on it, definitely a lot of cinnamon. This is actually pretty cinnamony. Not too sweet. It's more cinnamon than I would say. The pumpkin kind of gets that back end, but you get a lot of like a red hot cinnamon icebreaker type gum first. Alright, next up is Whole Hog Pumpkin Ale. This is by Stevens Point Brewing out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin. On the nose, a lot of cinnamon, a little bit of clove, some spices there. Now this one, very balanced. Cinnamon, not overpowering. It does have a lot of spice. I would say clove coming out the most here. A little bit of nutmeg as well. Pumpkin kind of in the center, gives that kind of like smooth, yummy type taste to it. And it does have kind of like a crackery back end, like a little bit of biscuit, but not too much, and definitely malty throughout. So let's try the Schlafly. I'm not getting too much on the nose in terms of like spices and things like that. Okay, so this is the evolution over here of kind of the lights to the darks, and this is what I've noticed a lot in pumpkin beers. You either get something that's like a pumpkin ale, it's kind of very balanced, like you're seeing kind of like in these first two that we talked about. Then you go into the range of pumpkin pie, and I think that's kind of how we're a little bit lined up, almost like unintentionally over here. But I think we're going to go into the pumpkin pie range, and this is hitting pumpkin pie. Now when I'm talking about the pumpkin pie range, that's more of like your pumpkin puree, so it's a little bit more creamy. And then you get a little bit more of the spice, so and sweetness to it too. So you're getting the cloves, you're getting the nutmeg, and that kind of coming through. But then there's also this overtone of sweetness kind of that's throughout, and definitely on the back end now. And the Schlafly one, actually this drinks a little bit more like a stout, just in the mouthfeel and the thickness to it. And also this one, I could definitely smell it a little bit on the nose. I kind of felt like I was picking up almost like a glass of scotch or something like that. And definitely in the taste, a little bit more boozy. This is an 8%. Okay, so now let's try the Post Road. Post Road, of course, out of Brooklyn, New York, Brooklyn Brewery. I wasn't getting too much on the nose, so I kind of just dove right in. And so my impression on this one, it's this one's very balanced as well. So this has more of those like subtle pumpkin flavors to it. It's not too sweet, and I think what would be good actually accompanying that, and actually the first time I had Post Road, it was served in this way. So it came in a rimmed pint glass, which was rimmed with honey and cinnamon. So that I think definitely adds it. And whenever I reach for one, I usually pour it. I go with the rimmed glass technique. If you could let me know a better way without it dripping all over the place, let me know in the comments below. But this Post Road drinks a little bit drier than the other ones that we have tasted so far today. It has a very clean finish. Not too much on the spices. Now in comparison to the other ones, I kind of thought that this was always one of my favorites, but it doesn't have too much of the bigger spices, like the harsh cinnamon or the cloves behind it. It's very mild and very subdued. And this Post Road actually is a little bit more biscuity in terms of the back end, but overall kind of like a crisp flavor to it, very dry and very drinkable. All right, so I'm gonna go through them one more time just in terms of tasting to make my overall assessment here. First up, Shipyard. So this on the second time around, I'm getting like a lot more honey, which I never really thought was that prominent in the Shipyard, but overall pretty good. Next up, the Whole Hog. So that one, cinnamon and nutmeg right in the nose when you're drinking it, as well as the taste, subtle flavor of your savory pumpkin throughout, as well as a biscuity, bready finish on the back end. Very balanced. Schlafly. Yeah, strong, boozy on the nose. It kind of tastes like almost like a scotch, a little bit of a alcohol bite to it. And just in the scent too, as well as like it feels like you're picking up a glass of scotch, but it has all those great flavors to it, big flavors but good. Cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, really a lot of clove in there. And that one's an 8.5 on the ABV, so it is kind of a little bit boozy. This one, the Post Road. Crisp, balanced, kind of going over it compared to the other ones. It loses a little bit of that spice in terms of like the spice battle that's going on over here. It still has properties of that cinnamon, and it has the pumpkin that's more subtle throughout, balanced overall, but crisp. All right, so now what's going to be my favorite pumpkin ale overall? It's going to be the Whole Hog. So this is the Whole Hog. It's out of Stevens Point Brewing Company in Wisconsin. This one I think just embodies that whole flavor to it. So it has a little bit of the pumpkin pie, it's a little bit spicy, but it's also kind of savory and smooth. It's not too sweet as like some of the fall or pumpkin ales are. Overall, really good. Every time I see this come out, I'm always sure to pick up a few of these every fall. And also, it didn't factor into the decision, but out of nostalgic purposes, this is one of my first overall beers. And what's going to be the most fall beer? That's going to be the Schlafly. This one has a lot of fall properties to it. It has the cinnamon, it has the spices, the nutmeg, the clove, all coming through just from the nose right away. And as you taste it, then you get that sweetness, the pumpkin pie, a little bit of honey. A little bit of vanilla. It's just a lot going on in it. But overall, the most fall beer. I'm not sure if I would drink multiples of these in one sitting. I think this is a treat beer. We have it once at a time. Probably if you were going to have something else, I would suggest going maybe not pumpkin or not a fall flavor beer. But overall, most fall beer. So from the pumpkin patch, we're pumpkin picking on That's What It's All Stout. A little bit something different. Let me know in the comments down below if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe. And as always, That's What It's All Stout. Prost.